I want a divorce. I've found someone who actually makes me happy. My name is Nathan Bell. I'm 45 and I work as a financial systems analyst for Orbis Union in Richmond, Virginia. That text came while I was sitting at my desk on a Wednesday morning, triple-checking a client's fraud detection algorithms. My wife Dana was supposed to be at a marketing conference in Dallas. 3 days, she'd said. Routine. The phone buzzed again. I've already transferred the retirement funds to my private account. You can have the house, I don't need it anymore. I set down my coffee, opened my bank app, checked balances. Something was already wrong, but not what she thought. I typed back, I hope you're happy. That was it. No argument, no pleading, just 7 words. I spent the next hour watching line items update across 3 different dashboard systems. Every joint account we had ran through consolidated monitoring, something I'd built myself. Retirement, investment, emergency funds, even the checking account Dana thought was hers alone. When she initiated those transfers, she triggered multiple fraud detection protocols. The system didn't care about emotions or marriage status. It saw 6 figures moving without proper 2-party verification. The federal anti-fraud measures kicked in automatically. By noon, my phone lit up with alerts. Not from Dana, from the receiving institution. Account review initiated, deposits frozen pending investigation. I didn't smile, didn't celebrate, just closed the alerts and went back to my work. Someone else's financial security needed my attention. Dana's phone would start buzzing soon enough. She'd try to access the money and find her balance at 0. The system has no sympathy for bad decisions. I'd learned that lesson watching accounts freeze during suspicious activity investigations. Money doesn't care about love, betrayal, or timing. It follows rules. And Dana had just broken everyone. We'd been married for 22 years. High school sweethearts from Petersburg. I was the numbers guy even then, calculating strike rates for the baseball team, tracking our senior class fundraising penny by penny. Donna was the social butterfly. Everything a marketing professional should be. Charming, persuasive, always networking. You're too careful with money, she'd say after I'd triple-check our tax returns. Someone has to be, I'd respond. It worked for years. I managed our finances while she built her career at Valerie Marketing Group. She traveled often, workshops in Austin, seminars in Phoenix. Always networking, always for the company. The warning signs came slowly, like mist settling over water. 6 months ago, she stopped asking about retirement projections. 3 months back, she opened a credit card without discussing it first. 2 weeks prior, she'd remarked our guest room was too cluttered. Who comes to visit anymore anyway? My sister had noticed it during Thanksgiving. She seems distant. Just work stress, I'd explained. But Dana wasn't stressed. She was planning. While I maintained our consolidated financial tracking system, something I'd built after a failed audit at a client company cost them millions, she'd been studying it too. Learning blind spots. Except my system didn't have blind spots. Every account connected. Every transfer monitored. Not from distrust, from habit. From years of catching client fraud attempts and understanding how money moves when people don't want it traced. Tuesday night before she left for Dallas, she'd been unusually interested in our retirement balances. How much do we have total? She'd asked over dinner. About $800,000 between us, I'd said. Why? Just curious. Now that curiosity made perfect sense. She'd been calculating her exit strategy. I thought about calling her mom, her best friend Patricia, my own parents. But what would I say? Your daughter tried to steal our retirement and got caught by fraud detection? It sounded ridiculous. Soap opera material. Instead, I made myself dinner, watched the news, checked the alerts one more time. The transfers were still frozen. The fraud investigation would take 5 to 7 business days before releasing or returning the funds. Dana had gambled on speed, hoping to access everything before I noticed, before the system caught up. She'd forgotten that in our years together, I'd never once overlooked a financial detail. The call came Friday morning at 11:30. Nathan, my card's not working. Her voice carried that edge I recognized from conference calls when her presentations went wrong. Controlled panic disguised as mild annoyance. "What's your balance?" "Zero." "How is it zero?" "I transferred." "Right, about that." I heard her breathe, then silence. "What did you do?" "Nothing," I said truthfully. The fraud detection system flagged unusual transfers from protected retirement accounts. Federal regulations require review for large withdrawals without proper joint authorization. More silence. "How long?" 5 to 7 business days. Maybe longer if they find issues. She hung up. I sat in my home office looking at the fraud alerts, sipped my coffee. Something fundamental had shifted in me. Not anger, not betrayal exactly, just clarity. For 22 years I'd protected our financial future, saved carefully, invested wisely, built systems to catch problems before they happened. And the woman I'd done it all for had decided to take everything and disappear. But the money wasn't what hurt. It was the efficiency of her betrayal. Text message, transfer, goodbye. Like closing a business deal. I pulled up our investment portfolio. Without Dana's transfers, our retirement accounts remained intact. The house, bought 5 years ago for $300,000, was now worth nearly $5. My modest stocks, held in individual accounts. Our savings bonds. Everything was still there. Protected by protocols I'd built when she was traveling to networking events. My phone showed 23 texts from Dana Friday afternoon. I didn't read them. What was there to discuss? The divorce lawyer I consulted on Saturday was sympathetic but direct. "File now. Document everything. The attempted financial misconduct will work in your favor." I filed Monday morning. Simple papers, no alimony requests, no splitting of unaffected assets, just divorce. The house stayed in my name. I hadn't touched our joint checking account. Let it sit with its $3,000 balance. Dana could have that part. By Tuesday, reality settled. I wasn't the vengeful type. Never had been. But I wasn't naive either. The same systems I'd built to protect our clients at Orbis Union had protected me. Banking algorithms don't care about marriage vows. They care about patterns, about authorization, about compliance. And Dana had violated every rule while thinking she was being clever. I went to work, ate lunch at my desk, reviewed fraud cases. The irony wasn't lost on me. Weekend came. I cleaned out the guest room Dana had complained about, donated her old books, boxed up photos. Not out of anger. Out of practicality. The life I'd known had ended with a text message. But the systems I'd put in place had endured. Sometimes the best plans are the ones you hope you'll never need, and sometimes they save you without you lifting a finger. Dana hired Patricia Martinez as her attorney. I knew Patricia from neighborhood barbecues, always the one talking about loopholes and legal workarounds. They filed a motion claiming I'd orchestrated the account freeze deliberately. "Your husband used his financial expertise to sabotage marital assets," the papers read. I met with my own lawyer, William Brooks at West Hill Legal, former banker himself. He read the motion and chuckled. "They're going with misconduct?" He shook his head. "Bold strategy when the fraud alerts are automated system responses, not manual actions." The hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks out. Meanwhile, Dana called the house 17 times Sunday night. I finally answered. "Nathan, you need to call the bank. Tell them it was authorized. I'm stranded here." "Where's here?" "Phoenix. I'm staying with friends." "Phoenix isn't Dallas." Silence. Then, "It's complicated." "I'm sure it is. Did you call your conference organizer? Your boss at Valerie?" "Don't start. Just asking, since you're supposedly at a work event." Click. Monday brought interesting developments. My fraud monitoring systems flagged something new. Dana had attempted to open credit cards using our joint address. 3 applications in 2 days. All declined due to the pending fraud investigation. She was trapped in a financial vice of her own making. No accessible funds, credit frozen, travel limited to whatever cash she had on hand. Tuesday, Patricia called me directly. This is getting messy, Nathan. Your wife needs basic living expenses. She's welcome to use the joint checking account. $3,000 is sitting there untouched. That's hardly reasonable. It's what we've always carried for emergencies. She considered $800,000 reasonable to transfer without discussion. Patricia hung up. Wednesday brought revelation through unexpected channels. Alan Murphy, Dana's boss at Valerie, called with concerns. Was Dana really at our Dallas conference? HR has no record of her registration. I considered lying, protecting her. Instead, you'd have to ask her. She hasn't returned my messages. We've noticed irregularities in her expense reports too. My stomach turned. Not just a personal betrayal, professional misconduct too. I can't speak to that. Understood. But if she contacts you, never mind. Thanks, Nathan. The fraud investigation expanded. Bank representatives contacted me directly. Sir, we found multiple unusual transfers between corporate and personal accounts over the past 18 months, all from the same workstation IP address. Dana hadn't just stolen from us. She'd been siphoning company funds. My quiet, planned life shattered completely. Every foundation I'd counted on, marriage, trust, basic honesty, looked compromised. But I hadn't pushed her toward crime. I'd simply built systems that caught it when it happened. Thursday morning, Patricia filed an emergency motion for Dana's living expenses. The judge set a quick hearing for Friday. I prepared methodically, printed bank statements, fraud alerts, historical transfer patterns. My financial training kicked in. Evidence speaks louder than accusations. The night before the hearing, Dana texted, "I'm sorry it came to this." I didn't respond. Apologies after attempted theft rang hollow. Friday arrived cold and gray. At the courthouse, I saw Dana for the first time since her conference departure. She looked smaller somehow, pale. "Why?" she whispered in the hallway. "Why what? Why did I notice? Why did the system work? Why did you try to take everything?" She had no answer. The hearing lasted 20 minutes. Judge reviewed the fraud reports, noted the automated nature of the holds, ruled that access to joint checking was sufficient for basic needs during investigation. Dana walked out empty-handed. Her trap had caught her instead. The following Monday, I received an unexpected visitor. Gregory Harris, an investigator from Eastern Financial Compliance, appeared at my office. "Mr. Bell, we've found evidence of systematic fraud involving your wife and several corporate accounts. We need your expertise." "I'm not involved. We know. That's why we need your help. Your personal fraud detection system flagged patterns we missed." Over coffee in our conference room, Gregory revealed the scope. Dana hadn't acted alone. Thomas Wade, another executive at Valerie Marketing, had helped establish a complex web of transfers. They'd been moving corporate marketing budgets into personal accounts for nearly 2 years. Your system triggered multiple alerts that led us to audit their entire division. How much? Preliminary estimate, $2 million across various accounts. I felt sick. While I'd been tracking our personal finances meticulously, my wife had been running a corporate embezzlement scheme. The betrayal ran deeper than a failed marriage. What happens now? Federal investigation. Your personal accounts are already being separated from the business fraud case, but we need documentation showing your lack of knowledge or involvement. I provided everything. Tax returns, personal financial statements, the entire audit trail of my own tracking systems. Every piece of evidence proving I'd built these protocols for protection, not to enable theft. Dana texted that evening. "They're saying it's federal charges. They think I took millions." I didn't respond. What could I say? Tuesday brought more revelations. Our realtor, James Everett, called about unusual inquiries. "Someone's been asking about putting your house on the market. Pre-approved cash buyer. Price at $300,000. Said they represented you and your wife. $300,000. The original purchase price 5 years ago. Thomas Wade made these inquiries." "How did you know that name?" The pieces clicked. Dana and Thomas hadn't just stolen money. They'd been planning to buy our house at its old value through a Confederate buyer. Flip it for the current market price of $500,000. Pocket the difference. A complete exit strategy disguised as a real estate transaction. Wednesday, I met with Detective Sarah Flynn from the Richmond Financial Crimes Unit. She confirmed the pattern. They targeted properties owned by corporate employees, created artificial market pressure to force below-market sales. Your system detected transfer anomalies that uncovered the whole scheme. How many victims? 12 families so far. Your case is the cleanest evidence trail we have. I thought of those 12 families. People like me who trusted, who planned carefully, who followed rules while others found ways around them. Thursday, Dana's attempt to access the frozen funds through an emergency court order failed. Her lawyer requested a conference. Your client needs to prepare for federal indictment, William Brooks explained. The fraud investigation has expanded beyond marital assets. Patricia looked shaken. Federal. Wire fraud, conspiracy, possible RICO charges if they establish ongoing enterprise. Dana would face significant prison time, not just for stealing from me, for the systematic theft from her employer and coordinated property fraud. That evening, I forwarded all my financial documentation to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Every fraud alert, every monitoring log, every piece of evidence my systems had collected. I hadn't built those systems for revenge, but they'd uncovered a crime far larger than personal betrayal. Justice doesn't come from anger. It comes from facts, from patterns, from systems designed to reveal truth. And sometimes truth ruins more than just marriages. I testified before the grand jury Thursday morning. Clean. Factual. No emotion in my voice as I explained how my financial monitoring systems worked. The automated alerts triggered at 3 a.m. when transfers exceeded preset thresholds. No human intervention required. The prosecutor appreciated the technical precision. Did you ever access your wife's accounts without permission? No. The system monitored joint accounts only. I built it to catch unusual patterns in our shared finances. 2 hours of testimony, details about every alert, every security protocol, how the system differentiated normal from suspicious activity. Dana's potential sentence grew clearer. The U.S. Attorney's Office outlined charges, multiple counts of wire fraud, conspiracy, and embezzlement, 20 years minimum if convicted. After testimony, I drove straight to my office at Orbis Union. My team leader, Michelle Chang, had been fielding calls all week. Federal investigators said they need our full systems audit, everything Dana had access to. We spent Friday converting 3 years of financial data. Every login, every transaction, every access point Dana had used to create her scheme. None of us saw this coming, Michelle said quietly. Nobody did. That's why these systems exist. The weekend brought unexpected peace. Federal investigators seized Dana and Thomas's phones, laptops, external drives. The evidence mounted hourly. Sunday afternoon, Patricia called. Nathan, Dana wants to offer information about larger financial crimes. She's prepared to name names if charges are reduced. That's between her and the prosecutors. They might ask about marital reconciliation. As character witness material, I thought carefully. Tell them our marriage ended when she tried to steal our retirement. The rest is just numbers. Monday, I received formal notice. The investigation was complete regarding marital assets. All retirement funds would be returned to their original accounts. The joint checking account would be split equally, $3,000, half of what Dana thought she needed for basic expenses. Tuesday brought finality. Federal indictments issued. Dana, Thomas, and 5 other Valerie employees charged with running an organized financial fraud scheme across Virginia. The bail hearing revealed more. Under federal guidelines, flight risk meant no bond. Dana would remain incarcerated pending trial. Her text from jail Tuesday evening, I never meant for it to go this far. I finally responded, you never meant to get caught. Wednesday, the U.S. Attorney offered plea deals. Reduced sentences for full cooperation. Dana's choice now. 20 years or testify against Thomas and his network. I cleaned out her office in our house that evening. Boxes of marketing materials, files, computer printouts. In the bottom drawer, I found a notebook with real estate prices, property assessments, a list of 12 addresses, targets, our house among them. She'd planned methodically, like I would have, but for theft instead of security. Thursday afternoon, the divorce proceedings resumed. Her incarceration complicated everything. Your wife is willing to concede all marital property, her new public defender explained, in exchange for your testimony about her character. I've already testified about what I know, the financial systems, the fraud alerts. She's asking for personal testimony about your marriage. I considered this. 22 years, the person I thought I knew, the schemes I never suspected. I'll testify about what I observed, nothing more. William filed papers confirming the terms. House remained mine. Retirement accounts restored. Modest alimony rejected. Federal sentencing would make it irrelevant. Friday, I received a letter, handwritten, from jail. I got lost in the money, started seeing how easy it was. Thomas said the systems could be worked around. I believed him over you. I'm sorry. I put the letter in my file cabinet. Evidence of admission, not forgiveness. The systems I'd built kept working. Automated, impartial, catching crimes while marriages crumbled. The federal trial lasted 17 days. I testified twice. First about the financial systems, second about my marriage. Did you ever suspect your wife's professional activities? No, I trusted her. When did that trust end? When my fraud detection system caught her attempting to transfer our retirement funds without authorization. The jury listened attentively. Dana sat smaller each day, paler, the designer clothes replaced by standard jail attire. On day 12, Thomas Wade cracked. Plea deal accepted. Full cooperation in exchange for 7 years instead of 25. He detailed everything: marketing budget embezzlement, property manipulation schemes, a network of executives across 3 states, Dana's role as coordinator. She ran the books, tracked everything, made sure nothing looked unusual on company statements. Ironic. She'd learned financial diligence from watching me, used it for criminal enterprise instead of protection. The prosecution played recorded calls, Dana's voice clear. Nathan's too focused on his own systems. He'll never check my work accounts. My wife of 22 years, betting on my respect for boundaries to enable her crimes. Day 17 brought verdict, guilty. 12 counts of wire fraud, 8 counts conspiracy, 2 counts embezzlement. Sentencing set for 6 weeks later. I walked out of the courthouse directly to my truck. No press conferences, no statements, just drove home. The financial system had done its job. Caught the fraud, provided evidence, enabled justice, not revenge, just consequences. 2 months after sentencing, Dana received 18 years, Thomas 9. I sold the house, $500,000 after fees. More than enough to start fresh elsewhere. I kept the Richmond job at Orbis Union, enhanced my fraud detection systems, added features specifically designed to catch corporate embezzlement schemes. These updates might save other companies millions, Michelle reported. That's the point. The divorce finalized quietly. No contested issues. Dana's guilty plea eliminated contention. I signed papers while she began her prison sentence. William called with update. Full restitution ordered. Your retirement funds are permanently protected. I bought a smaller house in Norfolk. 1 story. Simple. No guest rooms to clutter. No reminders of 22 wasted years. Started teaching part-time at Old Dominion University. Financial fraud detection class twice weekly. Real cases. Real lessons. Trust but verify, I told students. Systems protect when people can't. Occasionally received letters from prison. Dana's remorse deepening with isolation. I didn't respond, didn't visit, didn't forgive, not cruelly, just cleanly. The systems operated without emotion, algorithms catching patterns, mathematics revealing truth. I learned to live the same way. 3 years later, morning coffee ritual established. Simple breakfast, market checks automated, drives to work without destinations to avoid. Sometimes past Valerie marketing group while running errands. New building, fresh start. 12 families received restitution. Learned to trust carefully. Life continued. Orderly, systematic, protected. The lesson carried forward. Betrayal happens, theft occurs, systems endure. And sometimes justice arrives through equations rather than emotions. I've made peace with that mathematics.